Hi everyone, I'm Elise and welcome to the Circus Playbook. Today I just want to go over a few quick details to really help you get on top of your circus career. I want you to think about the acts that you're creating, what sort of shows you're creating them for, and the style that you're using in those acts or embodying, and the concept. And I want you to really think about whether they're in line with the sort of shows you want to perform in, and whether the way that you're performing and executing those acts is in line with that concept and that style. For example, if you've got more the dream to be in a more contemporary show, are you creating acts that are contemporary? Are the movements contemporary? Or are you still doing sort of more of a traditional style of movement and act? And the same goes for the song and the way that you put the act together and even the costume. So thinking about those little details will really make a big difference when you're applying for specific shows. And again, if you don't have specific shows in mind that you'd like to apply for, think about creating acts that are more versatile in the sense that it could potentially go for a few different styles of shows. For example, maybe an act to classical music, but done in a certain way that's not too traditional, will definitely open up more opportunities for you to perform at corporate events. And if it's done in a certain way and it's really got a high level feel to it, will also help you even get dinner theatre shows and even a lot of other big productions. So really thinking about those little elements will really make a big deal and a really big difference in the way that you progress in your career. And I also really want you to think about the way that you execute your skills. Are you simply running through skills and just sort of whacking an act together? And sometimes you have no choice to do that, but to do that because it might be a last minute gig or a last minute event. But if you've got the time to really sit down and create something that is special, you really want to think about every little transition, every little detail. Not only is it in line with the style and the intention behind the act, the concept behind the act, and what you actually want the audience to feel. So thinking about all of these little details to start with, but also, is it unique? Does it work? Are you exploring different movement styles, different movement qualities, or are you just doing a million straddles in your act and sort of what I call throwaway arms, where you're just kind of doing an arm like that just doesn't mean anything and doesn't connect with any specific movement? Are you just sort of going through the motions? So you really need to think about all of those little details to really help you create acts that are more hireable. And this takes time. This takes a lot of repetition. This takes a lot of exploration. Exploring different movement styles, exploring different ways of performing, exploring different ways of creating a certain emotion in the people that are watching your acts, and really repeating and going deeper with all the layers rather than trying to rush the process. And again, if you have a last minute gig or a last minute show, or you're working under someone else's direction, you don't have the time or the chance necessarily to think about all these little elements in detail. But if you aren't, and you do have the time, or you're working on something on the side, you really need to start thinking about these details to really help your skill level, and not just the execution of your skills, but the artistic skill level, the performance skill level, and the movement skill level. You need to level those things up as well as your acrobatic skill level. That's a whole separate component. And this is something that's often overlooked by a lot of artists because they're so focused on the specific skills or skill building. And again, you always need to skill build. There'll be no end to that. You'll always be working on new skills, learning new skills, and that's half the fun. But there's no end to it. And so if you really want to be creating acts that get you more work, you need to also think about the other skills that are involved in that process. And it's not only about the acrobatics, because there's thousands, if not millions, of amazingly talented acrobats in the world. But what's unique about you? How are you moving? What's going to make you stand out amongst all of those really talented artists? So you need to think about those things rather than either rushing the process or getting impatient with those little details and trying to just focus on the next skill. Oh, but I need to do this skill, this skill, this skill. You need to think about all those other little elements as well. That will really help you. And I can't say it enough, but it's super important, and I know how hard it is to spend the time doing that if you have events and things coming up that you need to prepare for. It's very easy to just focus on getting the act done as quickly as possible. And again, like I said, you often don't have the time to do these little, work on all these little but important details. And you do often have a deadline that you need to work towards, that you need to focus on. But when you do have the time, think about these little elements, because these little elements aren't so little. They're big in the grand scheme of things in terms of the sort of acts that you're creating, your level of artistry, your level of performance, your level of movement, your level as an artist, rather than just your level as an acrobat. These are really, really important elements that I want you to really think about from now on. Also, I want you to think about whether you're letting limiting beliefs hold you back from the things that you actually want to achieve. Do you deep down think that you're not good enough, and that's why you're not putting yourself forward for specific auditions or castings as they come up? Or you're waiting for a better opportunity, waiting for the time that you've actually made a better act, which may never come if you don't get onto it. Are you waiting for these things? Because often you need to just put yourself out there, even if it's not perfect. And that's not just with act creation and trying to get work. It's also with your life in general. You can't wait for every little detail to be perfect before you put yourself out there, before you go for an opportunity. Because sometimes there are elements like luck and timing that do come into play. And then in that case, it's the luck and the timing components will favor those that have actually put themselves out there. The people that have just put themselves forward or gone for it anyway, even though they weren't prepared and it wasn't ideal, but they just did it anyway. So there is a little bit of an element of that too. Really just not waiting for the perfect time, not waiting for the perfect opportunity, not waiting to be more ready, but really just going for it. You really have to just put yourself out there. You have to go for it. Even if it's not perfect, do it. The same with even just posting things on Instagram as an artist, because even though you don't want to direct casting people to your Instagram, it is important that your Instagram looks somewhat professional in terms of what you've got out there. And also put your training videos and things like that on there, even if they're not perfect. It's better to have some of your material on there than nothing on there, unless it's just a personal account, just more of just you and close friends sort of account with more, pictures of dogs and things like that. But if you're actually wanting to really put yourself out there and get work and you're applying for auditions, often, especially these days, people will want to maybe have a quick glance at your Instagram. And they will want to see, that you're a sort of fun person, you're going out, not partying too much, but that you've got a bit of a life and that you've got friends and things like that on there as well. But you also want to make sure that you've got some good videos of you creating things, good videos of you training, performance videos as well, maybe some other artistic hobbies and passions that you have that you're also working on. You know, having all of those little little things there for people to show, for people to see. So showing people your progress and your progression, your training, I think that's really important as well, rather than waiting for the masterpiece to be finished before you post it. Because, I mean, even then, you know, how most people won't, they'll just glance past it anyway. I mean, that's the reality of social media these days. You know, we're so bombarded by the stories and the feeds that people just sort of, they're just scrolling through. So put it out there. Put it out there in life. Put it out there on your social media, because if you're hiding everything, no one will know. No one will know your talents. If you can sing and you don't put it out there, no one will know that you can sing, and it could come in handy. You know, there are instances where people are like, oh, we need someone that can sing for this show. I know such and such, I know she can do this and she can sing, you know. So it's helpful if people know that you have these skills, these talents. And that goes for your CV as well. It's good to put information about your skills and what you can do on there, like within reason. But obviously, if you speak a few different languages, have that on there. That's great for people to see, because it helps. It really does. Have your working visas or your ability, if you have multiple passports and you can work in different countries, have that on the CV as well. That's really useful for people to see, because they want to know straight away, without having to even email you back, that you can work in, you know, all of Europe, for example. It will definitely help you if you have that on there as well. Think about these little things. Put your demo, a link to your demo on your CV, a link to it on YouTube. Make it clear, make it really obvious for people. They don't have to fish around, it's there. You can also put it in the body of the email. Again, I would avoid sending Dropbox files, anything like that, Google Drives, unless you're specifically asked, because there have been times where I couldn't open it, or with the computer or whatever. And if you're in a hurry and you're going through a lot of castings, you don't want to end up skipping by someone because you can't open their video. Have the link there, really easy to access. And I really think YouTube's the easiest one, because everyone has it and they can just open it straight away. There's usually less fumbles than with other things. Even with Vimeo, I've had issues where I just, for some reason, the link wouldn't open, and it was like frustrating because I had a deadline. So you need to make things put them out there and make them easy for people to see. Don't redirect them anywhere. Again, you can have your Instagram on there as well, on your CV, or even, you know, in the body of the email, but don't direct them to go there and you haven't put any of your demo or anything else in the actual email. Put the CV in the email. Put the demo in the email. Then make it easy for them to also see that there's the link for Instagram if they want to go and check that out as well. Not instead of, you know. So really just make it easy for people to see what they want to see. Give them options. Don't bombard them with too many options. Don't send 20 different videos, but make it easy for them. Put yourself out there as well. And remember that because you are a performer, you will be putting yourself out there anyway on stage. That's part of your job. So getting used to that, even though a lot of circus artists are introverts, and that's great. You need to also be able to push yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes and really get the important things out there. Again, they don't need to know all the details of your private life, but, you know, skills, artistic talents, even artistic hobbies, things like that that are maybe even helpful or might come in handy for a specific show or a creation or something like that. That's good for people to know about. Same with a musical instrument. If you can play a musical instrument, let people know, and don't be afraid to put that out there as well, because it's an asset. So that was just a little bit of things I wanted to really get to you today. Also, I do have an amazing aerial retreat coming up. It'll be in Costa Rica with me in the first week of May, and I'm partnering with partnering with Airborne Arts to run the retreat, and we're really going to work on all those little details to create really high-level acts for you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if that's something you're interested in, please send me a message, and I would love to work with you then. And I hope this was useful for you. There's a lot of more useful, exciting podcasts to come. So remember to also subscribe to the podcast so I can keep getting out as much information as possible to you, to really help you elevate your circus career, to really help make sure you're on the right path with where you want to be, performing on stages all over the world, getting on guests that will really help inspire you and help you on your journey, all the to-dos and what not to-dos, because all of those little tidbits, they add up into really fast-tracking the whole process for you. So I look forward to speaking to you very soon, and have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.